Welcome to the Elite Power Moves podcast, where we unlock the secrets to level up in all areas of life. I'll be interviewing some of the world's top performers in their fields so that you can uncover and learn the strategies that have led to their overall success and apply it to your own life. Dr. Dellar, can you link how having a solid purpose can lead to overall success and fulfillment in all areas of life?
Michael, for me and my experience, I've always had a purpose. I just didn't always know it was there. Okay. So in a past life, I was a police officer. And so I was there to serve and help and protect others. And then as a chiropractor, I then was supporting people physically. And now and I'm still a chiropractor now. I still love what I do every single day. And then over the last 5-6 years, I've been a life coach and I support people mentally and emotionally. And so I've always had that purpose to help people, but I didn't have the clarity around it until I dealt with my own baggage, which was about 6 years ago. And once I dealt with my own baggage, then all of a sudden I realized what my purpose was, and that is to support and help people. And my whole philosophy is I don't want anyone to struggle like I did emotionally. I had some low back troubles at various aspects of my life, became a chiropractor. So from my experience, it's led me down to this purpose of helping others. And for me, once you get that clarity and you find your purpose and you have that belief in yourself, then all of a sudden you understand yourself better. You know yourself on a deeper level, and that then flows over to other aspects of your life, to your relationships, to your business, your finances, and relationships. When you have great relationships, whether it's at home or in business, that will lead to bigger, better, more positive flow. So for me, it's once you get that purpose and that understanding, all of a sudden that just leaches through every aspect of your life. And all it is positive feedback, positive relationships, positive family time, positive home life, positive children relationships, all that sort of stuff just flows on beautifully. So when you have that purpose and you really feel it, that's when the big changes take place, from my experience.
I really wanted to touch on that personally, I personally used to be 145 kilos myself. And since then I've transformed over 7,000 lives, and my purpose and why has always been, I want to impact the lives of 1 million people and set generational health in their family. And it's what I find that the best coaches out there have always experienced the lows and been where they don't want anyone else to be. And I think that's the best purpose. Dr. Dellar, can you share your core principles and methodologies around personal success?
Stay out of your comfort zone. Simply stay out of your comfort zone. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, there's no room for learning and growth. So for me, I stayed in my comfort zone for 50 years. I was scared of having to deal with my emotions from a childhood trauma. And as a result, I suffered from depression for 30 years. And once I stepped out of that comfort zone, it was just a massive explosion of positivity, because what it did allowed me to learn who I was, to grow, and to just be a better version of me. And what I did along that journey was actually found out who I was as a person. And this is a distinction sometimes that, I explain to people is, I knew I was a good bloke. I just didn't feel like I was a good bloke. And once I did the work, all of a sudden that self-worth improved, and the success in all aspects, again, I go back to that relationships, the physical health, the mental health, just exploded. And then the second aspect of that is you have to do the work. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to be persistent and consistent with the work. You as a trainer and what you do as a coach, you don't lose weight and get fit by going to the gym once every 3 months. You have to be persistent and consistent with your work. It's the same with our mental health and wellbeing. And this is where my, passion really lies, because like I said, I suffered from depression for 30 years. If I didn't do the work, I'd still be in that same space. And I still continue to do the work to this very day. Even though I'm a coach, it doesn't mean I don't have challenges along the way. It doesn't mean just because I'm a chiropractor doesn't mean I have challenges in that space either, because whatever aspect of life we have, there's always challenges. It's how we deal with them and the tools we have built up so we can be the best versions of ourselves.
I think linking to that, it's always takes mental resilience to overcome adversities in our life. And I feel like I always link this that everyone lives in pain. Every single person will live in pain. Someone is tight, but they might not stretch. Someone wants to lose weight, but they might not diet. Someone has a bottleneck in their business, but they might not sit down and actually work out the trigger because it is painful. It is painful to sit in the pain, but it's where true transformation comes from. Um,
And if you
some
and if you
common
sit in that,
challenge.
sorry, if you sit in that pain, um, you sit in that pain now, but the pain will only get worse in the long run if you don't do something about it now. And that's what I learned in my journey, because I had to basically deal with that pain that I've been carrying for 30 years to allow us to, and the longer I carried it, the worse it got. And it's the same with, like you said, the bottleneck in the business or the diet, etc. So you have to deal with the pain now so it doesn't get worse later on.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it's one of my methodologies and formula is discipline equals self-worth. Self-worth added in, so discipline, sorry, I'll say that again. So discipline equals self-worth. Self-worth multiplied by healthy habits equals better energy and a better fulfillment in life. And when you put all these things together, it increases our time output and what we get done. And time being the most valuable resource, that everyone only has the 1,440 minutes each day, then why wouldn't you want to do those habits? And it's just about like breaking down the walls to start with. And yeah, it's very powerful stuff. Um,
Beautiful.
Dr. Dellar, what are some common challenges you see high achievers facing in their personal and professional lives?
Work-life balance is probably the biggest one, because we're, people are so driven to succeed. They put all their focus in one area, which is their business, whatever it is. But we also have to be driven to laugh and love and live life to the fullest. So you have to have a balance to be driven, not just in your professional area, but also in your personal area. And that means taking time out and doing the things you love, whether it's going to the gym or going fishing or, kayaking with the kids or whatever it is that you love. Then you have to make time for that as well and be successful in that area. Because if you're successful there, then you also will be successful in your professional area as well. And the second aspect of that is you have to build and empower those people around you. Okay. And if you do that, you're empowering others so when you're stepping up the ladder and you're being more and more successful, if you're empowering those around you to be successful as well, that'll just build you up. If you're treading on people to get to the top, that's going to cause an issue later on down the track. If, that could cause an unstable foundation basically, and that foundation can collapse. But by empowering others, by building others up, by giving others the opportunity to be better, then they will also lift you up as well because you've empowered them and they will continue to empower you, which is that cycle of positivity like you talk about.
It's really powerful stuff. And our listeners, there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in the rut. What are your thoughts about living in the present moment? And how important is it for you to leave the past behind?
I'm giggling at this one because I lived in the past for 44 years, basically. This childhood trauma, I thought it was who I was. And it wasn't until I dealt with it that I realized it was just what happened to me. And so I've been carrying around, focusing on what had happened, the negativity. And I was a high functioning depressive person. No one knew that I was depressed except for basically my wife and some family members, but no one apart from my wife knew the severity of it at times. And so, by focusing on what had happened, how I felt, the shit that I felt about myself, all that it just weighed me down. And once I dealt with it, all of a sudden it's like, well, life is easy, and when you are in that present moment, all of a sudden you can appreciate the things in that moment, the small things. I go out in the pool. We're in the middle of winter here at the moment, and sometimes it's 3 degrees outside. I go jump in the pool up to my neck and just do some breathing exercises. And sometimes the sun will rise and I'll just sit and watch the sunrise. It's like, wow, coming through the trees. Or occasionally I get a little woolly wagtail come and sit by the pool and dance within 4 feet of me and just dance and watch me. And those are the moments I just love, because it's like you're appreciating those little things right then and there. And when you're appreciative and grateful for the little things, then you're focusing on what you have and not what you want or what you've lost. So by focusing on right here and now, it allows you to be mindful of those around you, those loved ones, those cherished moments, those laughs, even the lessons. Even when you're having a tough time, it allows you to go, you know what? I went to a funeral last week, and being present and having a cry and being emotional, it's okay because I've lost a mate. And it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to be grateful. But then I was grateful for the amount of times and the great conversations we had together. So it's a double-edged sword with that sort of stuff, but you can still feel it without hiding it. And then you can move through it with much more genuine emotions and feelings and a really powerful way. And in my opinion, much quicker than carrying around the grief and the guilt, if there's any there. So,
Brett, I really like to link this, and I hope it sort of links with you, because it sounds like we've had a very similar journey in our lives. Our identities are formed obviously when we're 1 to 7, and my grandfather come back from war, and my dad was taught asking for help is a sign of weakness. We have to suppress our feelings, we have to tough it out, but also we have to work our bums off and grind. It's our jobs to provide for the family. And I think this is set into our generation. And as you mentioned before, like, we have people that are just really working on their business solely and missing out on other areas of their life. And this leads to that unfulfillment. And it's really just links back to understanding how we deal with energy and we deal with emotions. And it really does, it really is a powerful tool to open up the present moment, to be in this situation where, you're in the pool in the morning, you're doing your breath work and you're just there. You know what I mean? You're with yourself. You're not distracted in the future. And I think if you can take a leader from distraction to presence, there's a powerful transformation that can happen. And when you give someone a safe place to open up and talk, it really lets go of that baggage and energy that we all hold on to.
And thanks for sharing, because one of the things that I'm really passionate about is that generational handover, from grandfather to father to son, about the being tough. If you ask for help, it's a weakness, work hard, don't show emotions, toughen up, all that sort of stuff. That's got to change, but and it's a generational thing that's being passed down. And for those who have that emotional intelligence to actually break that cycle, and I was lucky. My dad did it without really, I think, understanding. I think he just made a decision. He didn't want to have the same child. He didn't want me to have the same childhood that he had. And so I was very grateful that I had a very grounded and beautiful and nurturing childhood with my family. But I know that they had a much tougher time. And I think by him being present in that moment to do that allowed me to have a better childhood. The trauma that I suffered was nothing to do with him or mum for that matter, but by having that great foundation and being present for me and giving that nurturing environment allowed me to survive that trauma. And it was my responsibility to deal with it, but I didn't do it till I was 50, but that was another other story.
Yeah, it's really powerful stuff, Brad. I already like you. I can tell that the universe sent you to me for a reason. Brett, can you delve into your concepts of purpose, intention, and focus, and how do these elements contribute to an individual's success? And what are your tips for our listeners?
Okay. The purpose for me, it's when you find your purpose. They always say that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And for me, I love my work as a chiropractor. I love helping people every day. I love the interaction. I love the connection. I love, I've been where I work now. I've been there for 14 years, and we're a part of the community. They're our family. They're part of our family, our chiropractic family. And now there's work with the mental emotional stuff as a life coach. That's a whole different level again. Because you're really touching. You're not just impacting them physically in the moment. And helping them. Through physical challenges as a chiropractor, you're helping them reshape their lives and their identity and understanding who they are. And it's not just impacting that person; it's impacting their family and their community. Okay, and so that purpose of helping someone, of supporting someone to be the best versions of themselves, whatever way, shape, or form that may look like. I just literally got the call just before I got on the call with you, and I've been working with a gentleman, and he just shared with me that he just had a conversation with his son. His son is in his late 30s, and he shared with him the challenges that he has struggled with, and now the work he's doing has made him a better person. And it empowered that son to go and get some help for his stuff. And so by me working with him, he's impacted his family in a really positive way. And so my purpose is to help one person who can then spread that and help other people as well. So that purpose for me is just, it's life-changing, not just for me, but for those around us. And the intention is I want to help as many people in the world as I can, because I suffered depression for 30 years, and I don't want any man or woman but from a man's perspective, I don't want any man to suffer like I did. Pretend it was okay when it didn't have to struggle, And so whatever your purpose is, if your intention is to make a better life for that person, that community, or that environment, or the world, if you've got a positive intention, then that will carry you through. And you combine that with a purpose, and you have that next level. Then you throw focus on there, and you have that driven focus to get to. You might have a goal. The goal is, see 1 million people, impact 1 million people. You can't do that overnight. You have to have some small steps. So you have to have little mini focuses. Okay, my focus today is to do a podcast with Brett. My focus over the next 3 months is to do 10 podcasts and coach 20 people. My next goal is to do this in 12 months. My next goal is to do this in 10 years. So if we had those little mini focuses and then it expands to those, the big goal, the big focus, a long-term, what do they call it? Is it BHAG? The big audacious goal.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's like the macro.
So you micro with the macro, and all of a sudden that's where you got the drive. Okay, because you keep having those little wins, and you combine that with your purpose and your intention, and then you focus, and you can achieve anything.
100%. I really love your concept and your life formula. Dr. Dellar, in my experience with 7 and 8 figure business leaders, I often find they use the words contribute rather than success and achievement. What are your thoughts around this distinction?
So for me personally, you go, what's success? When are you successful? We just had the Olympics, and someone who comes fourth, are they not successful if they get a PB? Okay. So where do you measure success? And I think success and achievement is really hard to ascertain or give a level of, because it varies so much and it'll change from day to day. When it comes to contribute, when I run my workshops, we'll have 10 men on the workshop on crew, another 10 men who are participants. And when we do our training with the 10 crew members, it's like one of the first things I say is like, it's not my workshop, it's our workshop. If you have any ideas, thoughts that you can contribute to put towards making it better, then let's do that. If you've got a process that you think may help a particular person who's struggling, then let's share it and see if it'll work. If we think it's the right idea to do. And so by contributing, you're a part of an organic vessel, I suppose, because it's going to change and grow and adapt, and it's not stale. And by contributing, you're all part of that same concept, that same team, to allow you to move forward and grow. Okay. Are you successful along the way? Probably yes. But you don't have to use those words, because if you're a part of that team who's contributing every day, you feel a part of it, and not as an outsider who's just doing that for this purpose. I'm just putting a nut on a wheel to build a car. You're contributing to make that car, if that makes sense. So you have to be, for me, it's about how you word things. And if you're contributing for the overall growth and health and well-being of a business, for example, then they're doing it as a unit, not as separate individuals.
Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you found the discussion useful. Our goal is to positively impact the well-being of 1 million people's lives just like you by sharing the experience and knowledge of some of the world's top performers. So you don't miss out on any key strategies to help you succeed, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. And if you think you may know someone that would benefit from this episode, join us in our mission of impacting 1 million lives and share it with your friends.